This video is sponsored by Shadowverse. La-di-da-di-da. It's a wonderful day to just be in the woods on this nice forest path. Just me, myself, and this microphone that I brought with me. The only thing that could possibly ruin this day is if I run into a venomous snake. Oh! Well, that's just bad RNG. Let me try and find the solution to this. I'm sure that there's someone online who had a guide on how to deal with snakes.
Welcome to Goshawk Dangerly's 3-step guide on how to avoid giant cobras. Step number 1, avoid touching grass at all costs.
Well, it's a bit too late for that now, isn't it? That's not useful at all. But one thing I do know is that snakes can't bite through metal, and that snakes and birds are natural enemies. So if only there was some way to summon a couple of metal birds of some kind. And that's where Wingbeats of Prayer comes in, my exclusive Shadowverse Order Shift mini set card reveal. It's a 6-cost gold Havencraft amulet that reads, whenever an allied amulet is destroyed, subtract 1 from the cost of this card, count down 1, last words, summon 2 adamantium birds and give them ward. An adamantium bird is this guy over here, a 3/5 with rush, and then with the effect of the card, it gains ward as well. Now, Wingbeats of Prayer is clearly support for the amulet archetype, destroying a bunch of amulets, so it works really well with the Angels of the Covenant legendary card, which subtracts 1 from the countdown of an allied amulet and then bounces itself back to hand if an allied amulet was destroyed that turn, with the end goal of eventually transmuting into Seraphs of the True Key, a 10/10 ward that summons 4 different random allied countdown amulets destroyed this match, and then gives them all last words, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader and restore 2 defense to your leader. Seraphs of the True Key potentially pulling back Wingbeats of Prayer is quite nice as well, because then you could use something like Hallowed Dogma to reduce the countdown of the amulets on your board, and Wingbeats of Prayer is an actual amulet that affects the board state by summoning 2 rush followers that you can immediately use to trade. The biggest upside about Wingbeats of Prayer is the fact that it can be reduced to 0 cost, and since you're playing a bunch of amulets in your game plan anyway, that's pretty easy. Then you play this and it's another count to add towards your Angels of the Covenant transmute condition, and as a 0 play point amulet, you can also use it to snowball cost reduction effects such as Muse Chef, which also has its cost subtracted whenever you play an amulet. Wingbeats of Prayer also works well with the main body of Garuda Winged Radiance, changing the cost of it to 0, and then Fanfare, deal X damage to the random enemy follower and then the enemy leader, and then destroying that amulet. X equals the amulet's original cost. Since it originally cost 6, it does a fair amount of damage and then summons 2 rush wards. But also because it can reduce its own cost, it's not a brick, whereas other amulets that you would run with Garuda usually would be. Of course, you can also use this alongside Unariel, which then procs the amulet, summoning those 2 rush wards, but also has that damage to leader effect that Unariel is known for. Maybe this means you can go for a tempo Unariel and you don't have to save Unariel for the OTK. You can just play the Unariel out, play the Wingbeats of Prayer, deal damage to face while dealing with the board as well. So there you have it, Wingbeats of Prayer. It's an interesting addition to the arsenal that Amulet Havencraft has access to. And what I said just now were a few of my initial thoughts, but maybe the Havencraft theorists among you can come up with something even better. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of this card. I'd love to hear from you. Like the video if you did, don't if you didn't, subscribe for more Shadowverse content in the very near future. And of course, thank you so much to Side Games for letting me reveal a card. It's always a lot of fun. I'll see you guys next time. Order Shift mini set hype. Bye-bye.